Everyone, please give a warm Kansas City welcome to Treanne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and coming, everybody.
And welcome. You are listening to 90.9 The Bridge, and as I just alluded to off air there, we're even more excited this go around. And don't get me wrong, we love our national and our international artists, but when we have so much talent here in Kansas City that is taking place on such a regular basis, to be able to provide a megaphone for that music it's just that much more special. So, Treanne, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm excited to play you guys some songs today.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be great.
We cannot wait for that. We have been playing your single, Sharing My Body, from your brand new EP 2020, which is now out. If everyone has not yet had a chance to go and listen to that in its entirety, absolutely beautiful, and you're gonna hear a few of those songs today. You are from Kansas City. You've spent a decent amount of time in Kansas City, and to be frank, and I'm going to be very candid here, because Treanne is a relatively new artist, and whenever you get ready for these interviews and you go to research, you can only go as far as the whole is on the internet, and there's just there's not a lot out there yet. So this is going to be a bit of an exploratory interview. That being said, the things that are there, you have led quite a storied life up to this point.
Yeah. I was born in London and then raised in Jamaica till I was 10. And then I moved to the US, but I moved to Florida first. And then I moved here about a year after. Yeah. And I've been here ever since. So for about 10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we love having you here.
Thank you.
So here's the thing that I found out too when we were chatting beforehand. Your school actually came to the Kansas City PBS building on a field trip when you were in high school. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's actually kind of crazy. I walked in here and I was like, before all this, I was just thinking the whole day, like, I came here a couple years ago and I still have the sticker, the magnet on my fridge of the logo and everything. I remember coming here and telling everybody, how can I get on this station? And I would email as many people as I could, and like, just to have this come to fruition is very surreal to me.
Well, and I want to tell our listeners and people who are here right now as well, what's crazy, even more crazy about that is, we've worked very hard, and if you listen to The Bridge on a regular basis, I feel like I need to put a disclaimer in here. If you listen to The Bridge on a regular basis, we play a lot of local music, and we try to be very, very connected to the Kansas City music scene. Yeah. The first time I heard your single, though, was when I was going through a Beggar's email, and I saw your name there, and I was like, oh, this is cool, let me listen to this. And I kind of fell in love with it, and then Elle from Beggars gave me a call, and she said, so Treanne, and I was like, yeah, oh no, this is good. And she's like, well, she's from Kansas City. And I'm like, and so it's one of those rare instances where we discovered you because you were signed to a, somewhat, major label. I mean, the label outside of Kansas City. And I want to talk to you about that process because we talk a lot to people who come into the studios about how they worked their way up or they just got really lucky. And your story is really that classic story of luck.
Yeah.
Where, why don't I let you tell that story?
My story, I've known I wanted to be a singer since I was 7. Yeah. Like, I have a journal where I found a couple years ago that I wrote in when I was 7, and in the back of it said, I'm gonna be a singer. And so coming from Jamaica, like, it's hard to see it visually, but I just always had that gut feeling. Yeah. And I went through all of school kind of not focused on music, but it was always at the back of my mind. And then just one night, I wrote a song, and then I found out you can put it up yourself, and then I put it up myself. And then Spotify latched onto it, and TikTok kind of did, so that kind of helped me catch something. And then about a year and a half later, I had lost a little bit of that momentum. And I wrote a song called Sharing My Body, and my A&R, Becky, found me online through her scout. And I sent her a demo of Sharing My Body, and then she flew me out to London, and I just wrote basically half the EP that week.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, and so you had it, you got discovered that way.
Yeah.
And then I just can't imagine. What is the first tour you go on and you're opening for Sampha? So, I mean, can you give words to that? Because that's a pretty big deal.
That was the best moment of my life. I'm not gonna lie. I was. That moment was also a bit of. I like to say manifestation versus luck, like manifestation plus hard work. And so I had known Sampha was gonna go on tour for about 6 months before he was going on tour. And so everyone that I knew that was involved, I would like check in and text them all the time, be like, I'm here, I can do it. I know I haven't done it before, but I can do it, just take the chance. And I would talk to Sampha. Like, I probably bothered him so much, but yeah, that was just a case of manifestation, telling everyone that I'm gonna do it and I will do it. I even got a text the day I found out that I was gonna do it from somebody that works the front desk at my label. And she was like, you told me you were gonna do it, so congrats. So it's like, yeah, it's just, that one was just manifestation and hard work.
I love that. Well, and talent too.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like, oh, you just got lucky. Aren't you good? No, I mean, the talent is there as well. But you're absolutely right. Manifestation.
Thank you.
Well, this has been incredibly beautiful. But I know everyone wants to hear the music. So, what is the first song that you're going to be playing for us today?
The first song will be "Sharing My Body." Sharing my body with you, you don't want nothing else. Learning I can't expect more from somebody else. Holy shit, tears run like water when the morning hits. Been avoiding the truth, the truth. I'm as messed up a person as you. Sharing my body, my body, my body, my body. Losing my mind. Sharing my body, my body, my body, my body. Losing my mind. Want you to read the signs, see through my doubt. Hear what I need from you and say it out loud. Holy shit, tears run like water when the morning hits. Been avoiding the truth, the truth. I'm as messed up a person as you. Sharing my body, my body, my body, my body. Losing my mind. Sharing my body, my body, my body, my body. Losing my mind. Oh, oh, oh. Yay, that was Sharing My Body. Thank you.
Okay, so you knew you wanted to be an artist from the time you were young. You had a very creative family, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you had several uncles who are, your uncle is uncle is an artist. You have an aunt who's a musician. You have an uncle who's a trained musician.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a very musical household.
I did. I grew up with my grandma, living in my grandma's house, and it was a very full house, and my mom would be at work, and she would just leave me with my uncles and aunts, and so I would just bounce around from one person to the other. Like one of my uncles, he's an artist, like he's very, very good, and I would watch him paint for hours, and then I would go and I would sit in my other uncle's room where he's playing the piano or the guitar, and then my other aunt would just sing karaoke with me all the time.
Oh, that's great. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the one story that really resonated with me was then you said, and I think it's just because it's such a beautiful and human story of when you would go on car trips with your mom, and she would play that Donna Summer song.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, I'm throwing this on you, and so if you don't have an answer to this, that's totally okay. But so the story is you would go on car trips with your mom. Why don't I let you tell that story?
That's so right. I would go, my mom, we eventually moved out of my grandma's house and we moved to Kingston, and my grandma lives in St. Anne in Jamaica. And to get from Kingston to St. Anne, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so every single time we would be pulling into my grandma's driveway, she would just play that song. And if it came too early, she'd restart it just in time for it to finish when we got in my grandma's parking lot. So that song, and I would just remember her freaking out every time and just singing it at the top of her lungs. And that song's really special to me.
I had my Fast Car from Tracy Chapman was that friend. That's why as soon as I read that, my brain just went right to the. So this one was This Time I'll Know It's For Real. Was the Donna Summer song.
Beautiful song. Yeah.
Do you have this? So the question I was going to throw at you here is: do you have that song yet that you know you're not necessarily just for other people, that you have that song that you bring to other people like that?
I feel like. I think Sharing My Body does that very well.
I agree.
I love that song, and I think this new song that I'm going to sing for you today, I Fell in Love, will do that too. That song is very special to me, and it's very classic, I think, and people will be able to connect to it.
Sharing My Body is, and our listeners will know because we've been playing that one, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I do have another thing that I was going to talk to you about in regard to your first gig.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was at your high school.
Yes.
Right. And it was for a suicide awareness prevention show. Was there a specific reason why you chose that one, or was it just a kind of time and place thing that happened?
It was kind of both. I fought really hard to get a spot on that show, actually.
Manifestation again. Here we go.
Yeah. It was kind of coincidence. I was on the You Matter committee, and when I found out it was going on, everyone would have meetings about, well, who's in town that can sing, who's in town that can do that. And I'd be quiet in the back of the room at the start, and then all of my friends would be like, well, you can sing, what are you doing? And then I started pioneering for myself, and that's when everyone was like, okay, let's do that. That show was the first time I realized what the power of being on stage was. Because when I performed, I was the first on, but the sun was going down, and I had told everybody to put their lights up and their lights out, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was like 100 people with their phone flashlight out, the sun going down. It was just incredible.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, and you brought up You Matter there, which is another campaign that helps to raise awareness about suicide prevention, and particularly in teens. And we have a partnership here at the Bridge with Johnson County Mental Health and Zero Reasons Why. And that's why very frequently in interviews we will ask people about their connection with mental health and music. And so when thinking about the connection between music and that idea of how it connects or relates to people in mental health, like, does that have any significance for you?
For sure. I think without music, I would probably be actually insane. So much of my emotions I can understand through music, not even just mine, through other people's music. I grew up learning how to process my emotions by sitting and listening to music and thinking and feeling for myself, and kind of the light that music can bring out, or also like the reflection that it can bring to you, is really beautiful. And that's just how I view music. And when I write, that's another way of how I express myself. So music, I feel like, is very important when it comes to mental health, and can really enhance and protect that. Yeah.
I agree. Beautiful. Yeah. I think that does work. This next segment then is there's this show that we have every Tuesday night here on the Bridge called the 8160 with Chris Aguirrean, and he's a pillar of the Kansas City music community, and he is in the room today. If everyone, I know he'll love this. Would everyone like to give Chris Aguirrean?
Nice.
He is a pillar of the Kansas City music community, and he does this thing whenever we have new artists that we are not very familiar with come into the studio that we want to get to know a little bit more, and he asks you 7 questions. And so I asked him today if he would be okay with me borrowing that segment, since you are a local artist and you're somebody who we do want to get to know more. So if you're okay with that, I would love to ask you those 7 questions.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, and the 8160 is every Tuesday night at 6 p.m., by the way. Okay. All right, so question number 1, what is the first album you remember receiving as a child or buying with your own money?
The first album I bought was Off the Wall by Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Okay, that gets a plus too. That's a good one. All right, okay. Second then, what was your first concert or first local band you remember seeing?
My first concert, everybody makes fun of me for this, but it was Big Time Rush. It was 2 years ago at the T-Mobile Center. It was the best night of my life, though.
Come on.
They were great.
Well, then that's awesome. Yeah. Well, good. I'm not going to make fun of you, I promise. All right. Number 3, then. What's your favorite film that has anything to do with music?
I love A Star is Born.
Oh,
that movie.
that's a good one.
I love the Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper one. It's incredible. I always recommend that movie.
That's a good one. These are good, Treanne. I'm just going to... Okay. Number 4, if you could hop on a van or tour bus, I have a feeling I maybe know the answer to this, but we'll see. If you could hop on a van or tour bus with any current touring band, who would it be?
Current touring band.
Oh, maybe it doesn't have to be current. You can just have a little bit of
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, it'd be Michael Jackson.
Oh. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. I mean...
Love him.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
What is a KC band or musician that's heavily impacted you?
A KC Banner musician. I will say his name is Jaybird. He's a rapper here. Before I knew anybody on my label, before I was very connected in the music scene, he was actively getting me involved with as many people as he could in the Kansas City area because I was very shy and reserved and he was more outgoing. So I would say him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What song do you wish you would have written?
I wish that I wrote. I would say any Adele song, to be honest.
No.
I love Adele songs. They just hit you where they need to, and they just stay there. Yeah.
And you've already answered the last one, but I'm going to ask it again. You got to fill in the blank, and without music, I would be
nothing. Insane. Yeah. I love music to death.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was beautiful. 7 questions with Treanne. Thank you. There we go.
Yay.
We'll pull that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Treanne, I can't begin to tell you how much we're loving the new music and how I love hearing your story particularly, but also seeing how, all of these things are coming to fruition. You had mentioned at one point that Tyler the Creator was like your ultimate, right?
Yeah.
And you got to meet him. Are you ready to tell that story? Because I know at one point you said...
Oh, my goodness.
You don't have to, and we can
No, I can tell it.
Okay.
It was funny. It was one of the first Sampha concerts I went to in London when I was staying there for a while. And the head of my label, he was like, do you want to come backstage and say hi to Sampha after the show? And I was like, yeah, I don't have backstage passes. He was like, just come, I can get you there. So I go back there, and I'm talking to my friend, and then he had disappeared, and I was like, where'd he go? And then I turned to my left, and I turned to my friend, I was like, that is not Tyler, the Creator. And then I turned back, and I'm like, that is. And then she's like, let's go. And I was like, give me a second. So I go to the door, and before I even walked in the door, he was like, hi, I'm Tyler. And I was like, I know. And then I walked away. I walked away for the rest of the night. He was in the room, and we would chat a little bit, but I was just mortified. We literally stood there. I said, I know, and we just looked at each other for 5 seconds, and I went. But yeah, that's the story.
No, that's cool. I think it's okay. It's like, Star Wars with the I love you, I know.
I mean, he's gorgeous. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Well, I love that. And unfortunately, it has come to that time. The last song, only unfortunate because we won't get another one today. Which one are you going to play for us?
My last song is going to be an unreleased song called I Fell in Love. I really don't wanna feel how I feel this morning. I call my mom, I just don't know what to do. I looked in the mirror, I put on my clothes, and I said I'm good. It's just not true. I fell in love with you, and I thought you felt it too. It went from 1 to 2, and now I don't wanna say goodbye. I'll leave these tears to dry. It's raining in London and I don't feel good without you. You're miles away and you just don't have a clue. And I'm so desperate to come home. I haven't seen you in so long. You couldn't wait, so you picked up the phone. But I fell in love with you, and I thought you felt it too. It went from 1 to 2, and now I don't wanna say goodbye. I'll leave these tears to dry. Oh, who knew? Who knew? Who knew? I fell in love with you, and now I don't wanna say goodbye. I'll leave these tears to dry. Dry. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you. That was good. Thank you.